Now, 7 weather with meteorologist Vivian Gonzalez.
Good morning, South Florida. We're waking up to seasonable conditions. It is 65 in Homestead, 67 in Fort Lauderdale, 61 in Kendall, cooler here to 69 in Miami, 72 in Key West. With the wind out of the north-northwest right now, 3 to 6 miles per hour, and the wind will veer out of the east-northeast later today. On the local storm tracking radar, it's dry. You're not going to have to worry about rain today. We'll have some sunshine, filtered sunshine, because some higher clouds will be moving in, but overall looking absolutely gorgeous. Not so much around the Gulf Coast states with a developing storm system. So the warm air is meeting the colder air, and we have plenty of rain from eastern Texas to Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. And then it changes over to some freezing rain and snow around northern Texas and Oklahoma. And we'll be following that in the days ahead. In the meantime, with high pressure in place and east-northeast wind, it should be nice and mild heading into the afternoon, lower 80s. Tomorrow, sun and clouds, keeping conditions quiet, just a tad more warmer and humid, but that will definitely be felt heading into Saturday with the front moving into northern Florida and winds veering out of the south. So that should help draw up temperatures into the mid and upper 80s. Your boating forecast calls for no advisories. Winds 5 to 10 knots, seas building up to 2 feet. Biscayne Bay at a light chop, going between a light to a moderate chop in the Keys. No advisories for boaters here. Seas beyond the reef building 2 to 3 feet. And the next tide cycle is going to be a high tide cycle, and at 7:14, that's when it will happen in Fort Lauderdale, 7:43 in Miami, and at 9:47 for you in Key West. And there could be some nuisance saltwater flooding during times of high tide because of the super moon. We're going to have water levels running higher than normal, and at least through the 7th of December, there's the possibility of seeing some nuisance saltwater flooding. So for today, filtered sunshine, temperatures between 80 and 82. Heading into tonight, some clouds, more humidity with temperatures in the upper 60s to low 70s, but we'll warm up over the weekend. Chance for showers ahead of the front on Sunday into Monday, and cooling down for the second half of the week. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast.
7 weather with meteorologist Vivian Gonzalez.
Good morning, South Florida. We're waking up to plenty of sunshine. Earlier this morning dealt with some areas of patchy fog, but overall beautiful. We'll have filtered sunshine with some wispy clouds streaming in, but feeling comfortable this afternoon, and average with highs in the lower 80s, or at least closer to average. Heading into tonight, we'll still deal with the upper wispy clouds, but it will be a touch more humid. Now, for the next couple of days, it should be dry. Heading into Sunday, the pattern changes as a front starts to get a push down the Florida peninsula. So Sunday, a chance of showers, an even better chance as the front moves in on Monday. But once it clears, it will be mostly dry and a tad cooler. Your boating forecast right now calls for no advisories. Northeast winds 5 to 10 knots, seas building up to 2 feet. Biscayne Bay light chop. Florida Keys, light to a moderate chop with seas beyond the reef building 2 to 3 feet. We're going to get a high tide change at 9:47 for you in Key West. So for today, we'll have highs between 80, 82 degrees. Heading into tonight, upper 60s to low 70s. It should stay very quiet, South Florida, heading into our Friday. Warming up even more, mid to upper 80s for high temperatures Saturday and Sunday. Once the front arrives, this time around, we'll get a minor cool down in the low 60s come Tuesday morning. And that's your 7 on 7 forecast.
All right, now 7 weather with meteorologist Erika Delgado.
All right, South Florida behind yesterday's front. They came through really nice conditions this morning. Most of us started off in the 60s for the mainland. We're now in the mid 70s, 76 in Fort Lauderdale and Miami, 75. Mid 70s across the Florida Keys, where temperatures this morning started off in the low 70s. We have a breeze that's out of the north around 5 miles per hour for our mainland areas. It'll be veering off the water later on today. We already have that northeast breeze for the Florida Keys, and it's worth mentioning because once the breeze comes off the water, we'll have those mild temperatures returning, and we'll even see a few passing clouds from time to time. You can notice some here over the Atlantic waters. The only clouds that we have seen overnight and this morning have been mid and upper level clouds moving in from the Gulf waters. None will be producing any rainfall today. Just quiet conditions. We just don't have the moisture for that. Where we do find that moisture, though, is along the northern Gulf Coast. Even along the southeastern U.S. here, we have showers associated with a storm system beginning to move into the Gulf waters, and that's going to cause that old front to begin to lift back north. So in the meantime today, just an overall nice day. Calm, feeling comfortable with nice humidity levels. And then tomorrow, even though we are looking warmer, it won't be too humid. We'll still remain on the dry side. Then comes another front that enters Florida, leaves a mess from northern Florida all the way into the southeastern U.S. to start the weekend. So far removed from us here and such limited moisture, we're really not expecting a whole lot as far as rainfall on Saturday, but you will notice those unseasonably warm conditions, a bit more humidity as well, with winds beginning to veer out of the south. Boating forecast for Miami-Dade and Broward looking pretty good. No advisories. Winds will remain light today, so seas around 2 feet at most. Biscayne Bay a light chop heading into the Florida Keys. Coastal waters a light to moderate chop with seas at most building up to 3 feet. We do have a tide change happening later this hour, and it's high tide in Key West at 9:47. Otherwise, low tide will take over in the 1 o'clock hour this afternoon in both Fort Lauderdale and in Miami. Now, as we work our way through the afternoon, highs will top out in the mid to lower 80s. Comfortably warm with filtered sunshine just because of those clouds, but just an overall nice and comfortable day. Calm and quiet tonight still, but milder temperatures do return. We're back into the 70s as our overnight lows, and that will remain the case through the weekend. Again, a warm start to the weekend, but mostly dry. A few isolated showers and more cloud cover for Sunday. Then as we work our way into early next week, it looks like with the approach of another front, we could be looking at a better chance for showers, bringing slightly lower humidity by the middle of next week. And that's your 7 on 7.
Now, 7 weather with meteorologist Erika Delgado.
Temperatures were comfortable this morning behind yesterday's front. A lot of us woke up in the 60s across Miami-Dade and Broward County, and now temperatures are on the rise. We're already up to 79 in Fort Lauderdale and in Miami, mid to upper 70s across the Florida Keys, and all it took was a wind to veer off the water, which it has. East winds now 5 to 10 miles per hour. We've been seeing mid to upper level clouds moving in from the Gulf water since early this morning, and now the cloud cover that we've seen over the Atlantic waters will begin to pass through South Florida with the return of that ocean air. Again, all fair weather clouds. We're not expecting rain in the forecast today. We will remain mostly dry with a layer of cloud, or several layers of clouds, I should say. While we remain dry, not the case across the Florida Panhandle and the northern Gulf Coast. Unfortunately, just a mess there with a storm system that will be moving along the northern Gulf waters through the next couple of days. For us here, still nice. We're calm, we're quiet, and it feels comfortable outside, even though temperatures will be warming because humidity levels are still tolerable. And it will be the case once again tomorrow. The only difference is that with winds coming out of the southeast on Friday, the warming trend will begin to cross South Florida. We remain dry. Not the case again across the Florida Panhandle and across the southeastern U.S. Now, that same storm system will eventually bring a front across the state by the end of the weekend, and it'll still be across northern sections of Florida. For us here, our winds will be veering out of the south, which means we continue to warm. It'll be unseasonably warm, and you'll begin to notice humidity levels on the rise. It's not until Sunday and early next week that we'll really begin to see a little better chance for some showers. Now, boating forecast today for Miami-Dade and Broward waters looking pretty good. Our winds will be out of the northeast. Seas around 2 feet. Biscayne Bay a light chop. And as we work our way into the Florida Keys, coastal waters light to moderate chop. Seas beyond the reef at most building 2 to 3 feet, but no advisories for any of our South Florida waters. Now, tide levels have been running a little higher than usual due to king tides. Not overly high like we're used to seeing, but we do have a high tide coming up at 7 o'clock this evening in both Fort Lauderdale and Miami. 8:45 p.m. will be the high tide in Key West. However, the next tide change will be low tide in the 1 o'clock hour this afternoon, and that's coming up for Fort Lauderdale and for Miami. Highs today will be in the mid to lower 80s, filtered sunshine throughout the day, comfortably warm though, just an overall nice day, calm, quiet conditions, and that's exactly what we can expect heading into tonight. Now that our winds are off the water, we go back to those mild overnight lows. Temperatures for our mainland will be in the low 70s. We may still see some 60s across inland Miami-Dade and Broward County, mid to low 70s. for the Florida Keys. Just a few passing clouds. As we work our way to the end of the week, Friday, we are looking a little warmer. Temperatures will be in the mid-80s, but we're still dry. And then humidity levels will be on the rise for the start of the weekend. We'll definitely feel the warmth both Saturday and especially into Sunday as humidity levels continue to go up. More cloud cover to end the weekend. And then we'll notice a few isolated showers returning by Sunday. And then ahead of our next front, we could be looking at better chance for showers come Monday. This one doesn't bring significant cooling, but it will knock our temperatures down. And we are looking a bit more comfortable come Tuesday into Wednesday of next week. That's your 7 on 7.